Starfield is my most anticipated game for 2023, and I know many people out there feel the same. Although, quite understandably, not everyone feels the same, with a good bunch of people preferring the wait and see approach entirely understandable. So Starfield itself is set to be one of the biggest games of the year, not just in terms of its development scale, but also in terms of the game world itself. 1,000 planets on which players can land. This is a very big deal. But for some people, the scale of the project is becoming a bit of a cause for concern. Popular reasons for this concern seem to be citing Todd Howard, Bethesda, Fallout 76, and some disappointment with Fallout 4. There's some understandable justification behind those concerns. Yes, Fallout 76 did have launch issues, and Fallout 4 perhaps wasn't quite as good as Fallout 3. And for those who feel such a way, it really isn't such a large jump to then have concerns about Starfield itself. After all, this is a game of massive scope, not just in terms of development, but also in terms of the scale of the game world itself. Yet on the opposite side of the coin, that scale is the very same reason that people are extremely hyped and full of anticipation for Starfield. After all, Bethesda are known to provide some of the most immersive game worlds out there. Let's not forget that Skyrim is still extremely popular, even 11 years after its release. And that's for a number of reasons, not just because Skyrim is an extremely immersive world and a very detailed world at that, but also because it feels living and breathing. And then we have the mod community on top of that, which really has kept the game alive for over a decade at this point. From that point of view then, Starfield is in a position that very few other games are. After all, any game coming from Bethesda is in the shadows of Skyrim and other such titles which players are still engaging with 10 years later. And that puts a massive burden on Starfield, doesn't it? How many other titles can claim to be in such a position? I can only think of two others. One is GTA 6, and the other is yet another title from Bethesda, Elder Scrolls 6. Starfield then is important, not just for Bethesda, but also for the games industry as well as players at large. It's a game that is in an unenviable position. We all know that it's not going to be perfect, certainly not going to be perfect at launch, yet at the same time it needs to hold up to the test of time and still be something that players want to engage with many years from now. It's a lot of pressure then for anything, let alone a big game like Starfield. It also is a bit of a risky proposition for players who may feel like they've been bitten a few many times by being overhyped. Now, some of this concern isn't just coming from players, it's also coming from fairly big websites as well. For example, Game Rant recently posted an article just 4 days ago, in fact, about a potential Redfall release date delay and what impact that may have on Starfield. Now, based upon my understanding of the article here, and I may have this wrong, but it seems that Game Rant has complete conjecture here on the release date of Redfall, which there is a rumour out there saying that it may be delayed. We can see that as a tweet right here, linked in the article. Update on Redfall's release date. Have heard that it's been pushed back internally by about 6 weeks, currently targeting an early May release. Unfortunate news, but I'm sure it's for the best. Now, the speculated connection between this and Starfield is relatively straightforward. Microsoft once said that Starfield will release after Redfall. So, if Redfall is delayed and Microsoft still want to release Starfield after it, then it makes sense that Starfield would also be delayed. It seems, to me at least, very much a stretch that Microsoft would go all the way to delaying 2 games just because one game is being delayed. So, as I say, for me at least, this kind of feels like conjecture on the part of Game Rant. But who knows? This wouldn't be the first time Starfield would be delayed, and it wouldn't be the second time. Now, Game Rant further fuels this by saying, that being said, it's possible that Starfield could be delayed again. There have been some reports indicating the game's development has had some problems, to the point where some developers are reportedly worried that it will be the next Cyberpunk 2077. If those reports are accurate, it may be best for Starfield to get pushed back again so that the game can live up to the high expectations that people have for Bethesda Game Studios titles. The mention of Cyberpunk 2077 is a very telling comment here. Not simply because Cyberpunk 2077 did have problems with its release, to say the least, but also because Cyberpunk was also delayed numerous times, and even though it was delayed, it didn't really help with those release problems. Now, I'm not for one moment saying that I personally feel that Starfield is going to have any problems whatsoever, but just pointing out that there does seem to be a growing narrative out there, a growing trend of ideas that it just may not live up to expectations. So ultimately, either way you look at this, it does feel as though there is a perfect storm brewing around Starfield. It's a perfect storm that could lead to abject failure, or it could lead to it being one of the most successful games ever released. My personal take on all of this is that I feel it's perfectly fine to have a healthy sense of skepticism when it comes to any anticipated game. But equally, I feel it's also completely fine to enjoy all the hype surrounding anticipated titles before they are released. For many people, all of this is a part of the process and a part of the enjoyment. Of course, at the end of the day, all any of us can really do is to wait and see. Whatever way we cut it, it's highly likely that this being a Bethesda game, Starfield will release in a buggy state. But if history is anything to go by, Bethesda will get it all fixed up. Additionally, Starfield, like most other Bethesda titles, will live and die by its modding community. Mods have breathed life into Skyrim multiple times over the years, delivering exceptional updates after exceptional updates from some very talented members of the community. Now, with the natural scale of Starfield, the fact it's got 1,000 different planets and is clearly intended to be a very big game and is also going to fully support modding, well, I think the sky is the limit for Starfield. So, despite some of the healthy skepticism out there surrounding the title, personally, I'm very much looking forward to getting my hands on this game. Do let me know your thoughts and feelings on all of this in the comments section below. One thing I'd especially like to know is how long do you envision yourself playing Starfield? Is it going to be a title you pick up and play for a few hours, or is it something you want to get to grips with for many years? Is it going to be a long-term game for you perhaps? Again, do let me know all of that in the comments section below. Meanwhile, if you've enjoyed this video, then do check out the other Starfield video linked on the screen right here. This contains some information from a recent interview on the Lex Friedman podcast between Lex and Todd Howard, where they go into some details that up until that point hadn't previously been released. So do go check it out, have a look. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.